Hello and welcome to the Broadway Q&A presented by Playbill and the Growing Studio. I'm Danny George. Every Monday and Wednesday, I sit down with different music directors, choreographers, composers, lyricists, you name it. Every Friday, I chat with America's leading musical theater and acting colleges. For all of the most up-to-date information on all of our streams, follow us on Instagram. That's at Playbill.
And at the Growing Studio. I am so excited to sit down today with one of Broadway's leading music supervisors, Stephen Oremus. Stephen, are you there?
Yep. Hey.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Where are you quarantining?
I am quarantining upstate in Greenwood Lake, New York.
Oh, nice. Do you have a nice yard and stuff there?
Yeah.
Good. It's good to be able to get out. You know, we chat with so many people who are in New York City, and we feel so boxed in. So it's nice to have some land to just breathe. You know.
Yeah. It's very, very different and much nicer to have a tree or two around.
Of course. If any of our viewers want to ask Stephen Oremus a question, go ahead and comment on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll be bringing on a couple of you to the broadcast to ask Stephen for yourself. So with that, I'd love to jump in if that's okay.
Go for it.
Stephen, can you talk a little bit about your journey? How have you become Broadway's leading music supervisor?
I don't know. Thank you for the compliment. But I started doing shows back in the, I started doing summer stock and regional theater back in the 90s. And I started getting to I got a big break to music direct the national tour of Rent in '99. It was the second national tour, and I had met a couple of people. I had done a regional production of a show and met Andrew Lippa, and then he liked what I did and wanted to use me on the Wild Party, and then I got off tour and did the Wild Party, and I met Stephen Schwartz. It literally was like this weird combination of crazy luck after crazy luck, and getting to do work with these incredible people. So I really just, my first show in New York City as the music director was the Wild Party at Manhattan Theater Club for Andrew Lippa. And it was like truly, it was my big Oprah aha moment of like, that is what I was like, oh, this is where I belong. Creating a new musical and being a part of it is my happy place, and where I felt so creatively excited and fulfilled. And then after that, I got the opportunity to do a little show called Tick Tick Boom off Broadway, and then I got to work on Wicked and Avenue Q, and then all of that stuff started. So it really I got the opportunity very early to work on such a wide variety of different types of shows, and people liked my work and called me for more work, and that is, that's kind of how it went down. And it was really, I've been really, really incredibly fortunate to get to work with such incredible collaborators over the years.
I'm sure they feel the exact same way.
Oh.
What is your favorite part of the job?
I think that it's twofold. I think the first part of the job that I really, really love is kind of the puzzle of it all. As an arranger, just to clarify for some people that don't know what I do, as an arranger, like when I'm working on vocal arrangements or like really like kind of blowing up a song into a totally different vibe, or creating a whole different theatrical experience for a moment that has started out very simple and small and has to become something different. Like that part is like just amazing. Like that's really the fun part for me, is like the bare bones, like seeing it on the page and having the huge imagination to do something with it and create something that the piece needs, whether it's for the characters or for or for the story or a big moment, and whatever it is, that kind of problem solving and puzzle doing is a blast. And then I would say the close second is that moment when the light goes out from the stage manager and I give the downbeat, like, and you got to get to the end. You know what I mean? Like that immediacy and thrill of the live performance is unparalleled. It's like one of the greatest things ever.
So I credit you with writing Higher and Higher for Boys and Girls. You know, and
that's not just my fault. That is not just my fault. The composers I work with happen to like, you know, sing high or, you know, so.
Do you know what? I love it personally. I'm a tenor one, so I live for it. But I think, you know, it reflects the music, the pop of today. So it's clear that you're very much in that world, especially with all the shows that you work on. Who are your biggest pop influences?
Like currently, well, you know, it's interesting. Like don't kill me. I don't love the new Taylor Swift album, but that last album, like if you shave like 6 songs off of it, it would be perfection. Like it's like, that's amazing. Like I love that. I love the new Chicks album, which is kind of country but still more pop. You know, the new Dixie Chicks and all that stuff. I'm a big Panic at the Disco fan, and obviously I've worked with Brendan Urie, who did the Kinky Boots for us, and I really, I'm obsessed right now, weirdly, with like Kim Petras. You know, like, do you know her? No. Oh yeah, she German, like crazy beltress. Like everything's too high. Like it's all like, if you think that I write high, like you listen to her, like listen to Heart to Break, and which is like a couple, you know, it's not like her most recent song, but you listen to it and you just go, wait, oh that's high. Oh wait, that's really high. Wait, it's higher. You know what I mean? Like, and it's so fun. It's so fun, and it's such fun pop stuff. So yeah. So I mean, I listen to a lot. I mean, I listen to like a really wide variety of current pop. I really try to stay current, and I listen to a lot of the more the stuff that's out right now. But I also, you know, I don't know. I mean, like, you know, it's summer, so it's like bop city. You know what I mean? Like everyone, like, you know, it's like all you want to do is like hear music that makes you happy.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to do more of that these days.
Yeah, that new Alex Newell, the Kill the Lights.
Oh, so good.
It's the best summer bop ever.
Oh yeah, and Billy Porter's the one that he did with the one that he his last release that he did with the what's their name? Anyway, but yeah, that killed. That was just absolutely incredible. It was amazing. So anyway, but
it's just the best summer pop.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, but then you see, I'm also like super.
Steven, I have a viewer.
The shape. Wait, Billy Porter, the Shapeshifters. By the way, that was a song that he did with the Shapeshifters. Finally ready. Oh, I lost you, Danny. Are you there? Yeah. Oh, Johnny's popping up.
Is everything all right? You know, just
I have a little bit of a lag. Yeah. No, I know it's my fault. It's a little bit of lag, so I'm going to jump in. I'm here. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I lied. He's gone. Well, I'm gonna bring on our viewer who has a question to ask you.
Cool. Go for it.
Hello.
Hi, Steven. How are you?
Hi. Nice to meet you.
To see you. So I have a question actually regarding scores like Frozen, which comes from like a major blockbuster. Everyone and their mothers knows Let It Go. And then transferring that to the stage, and what kind of experience, if, you know, different at all, is that like then you had maybe arranging Wicked or Mormon, where your arrangements were the first ones that people were hearing. So if you could just talk a little bit about that.
Well, thanks. That's a great question. You know, with Frozen, it's so specific. You know, because it's half adaptation and half brand new score. Yeah. They wrote like 13 new songs. You know, at least, maybe more than that. But so it really felt like a new show in a lot of ways. And then basically, you know, we had to really, you know, translating the existing. First, it was like kind of how do you make the existing material fresh and new for the theatrical experience, and kind of look at it all as a brand new piece.
Sure.
And then Second of all, I did the vocal arrangements for Fixer Upper and stuff in the original movie,
Oh, great.
as well, and I conducted the original movie. So when we did it, it was when we had to reimagine it. It was really, really fun for me and for Bobby Lopez and Dave Metzger to actually as arrangers and to have fun with the new version of like what choreographically Rob wanted to do and all that stuff, like, and how we wanted to translate that to the vibe of the song to the stage was completely different because they're not those cute little rock trolls anymore.
Yeah.
So basically, it really was. It was really a fascinating process because, like I said, it was half and half, and then creating an ending for Let It Go that didn't end with her like slamming a door and walking off. It's like, how do you end? It's like you got to end an act with it. So I was like, well, we need a big ending, so let's create this big ending, and then and it brought us to that choral bed and like all that stuff that we tried to add to give it this bigger theatricality kind of vibe to it. So it was really extremely, again, it was like what I was just talking about. It's like the puzzle of it all, of like creating like and like making something brand new out of something that already exists. But don't forget, like for the film stuff, for like the Disney stuff, like those movies only have about 6 songs in them.
Yeah.
They feel like musicals, but a musical has like 22 songs. So anyway, so that's what I got.
So cool. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That was awesome.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ali, for joining us. Okay, well, your next question is from John Cornelius on YouTube, and he wants to know, could you speak to using synths in the pit? Do you see them as a substitution for players or an opportunity for new colors? And how do you make that choice?
Aha! Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for that question.
That was a good question.
Yeah, it was amazing, and thanks for that question. I think that honestly, what it depends on the style of music. I think that in some cases we've had to adapt to the smaller numbers of orchestra. In some cases, I think that I never look at it as I'm orchestrating for, like I would never want to replace a live instrument. If I'm hearing strings, like I don't want to hear synth strings, I don't want to hear synth brass. But if I'm enhancing and all, like we had to do on Mormon, we have one violin, so to add synth under him so that we're hearing the actual bowing, but also kind of giving it a more epic, bigger sound, like that I'm all for. But then for shows like I did, like Kinky Boots, like the vibe of the synths, like the keyboards had their own personality, you know what I mean? And it had to sound like a Cyndi Lauper song, and had to have that kind of 80s analog synth vibe and all of these fun colors that really make it sound like Cyndi, and also that I grew up listening to, so I love it. So
I mean, I love to work out to it. I play the Sexes in the Heel like while I'm on the treadmill.
Oh my God, I love that.
Going.
Yay. So yeah, so I mean, so I do think that now that we have the technology that we have, I mean, listen, depending on the show, like if it's an acoustic, very orchestral show, I want to hear acoustic, very orchestral instruments playing it. If it's a more modern pop show, I actually want to hear, along with live horns, but I want to hear like something that sounds like Prince, or like fake synth horns and like analog brass and cool keyboard sounds. But again, I think it has to depend on the piece.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like I saw Kim Petras live actually at Radio City, and so yeah, like the synth, she literally has like a single DJ who's like making all her sounds, and it's like pretty awesome.
Insane. Mm-hmm.
Loftus is back.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Danny.
It's tricky internet.
See you guys.
Remember, JD.
Bye, Johnny.
This next question is from Joshua Winsky. Stephen, what advice would you give for actors who want to break into music directing?
Oh, well, I mean, actors who want to break into music directing, who you should be talking to is Dan Michike, who's our music director on Wicked, because he is one of the actors who successfully did that, which is amazing. because he played Mary Sunshine and was and did Chicago for years and ended up working his way up through, like, he is one of the great success stories of Wicked in all the years I've worked on Wicked, which is now, you know, in 20 years.
Yeah.
He was a keyboard player, and then he became an assistant conductor, and then he became the conductor of the tour, and then he eventually took over as MD on Broadway. He's amazingly talented. But I listen, you know, it takes a lot of work and a lot of training, and it generally happens. You generally come up through the keyboards, because depending on the show, some shows may need keyboard conductors, and aren't even a full baton conduct show. So I mean, I think that you have to have a real mastery of piano, and you have to be a really kick-ass piano player, and accompanist, and you know, and you know, and I think that a lot of people, you know, come in, start subbing on shows. I actually have another couple of friends who have made the transition from acting to playing, and have ended up subbing on some of my other shows, as keyboard players, and then eventually, you know, getting hired as assistant music directors, etc. So that's the way I would go, is, you know, just doing more playing. And I think that the best way to get that kind of training, especially in musical theater, is to be playing in kind of an educational environment. Because, like, playing for classes at Growing Studio, playing for classes at AMDA, playing at classes at, you know, NYU, like anywhere that's offering that stuff, provided that you're good enough to do that, because you're gonna have to obviously have to cross the threshold there. It's just learning. It's learning the repertoire, and being around, and learning how to really play for singers in the musical theater. And I think it's really, really important.
Yeah, it's such a unique skill.
It is.
You know, I mean, it's unbelievable what you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I did it. I mean, like, I was playing classes at AMDA all, like, from 1995 on, and like I was like, I learned more than those kids, I swear.
Yeah, we have
amazing
accompanists who are now big music directors. I mean, it's unbelievable. This question is from Gerard Smith. Can you talk a bit about the genius of the leading ladies of Frozen? What was the chemistry you guys have? Could you share some stories?
Well, the original leading ladies, is that what, or like all okay, yeah. Like Patty and Casey.
Yeah.
They're I mean, I don't know, they're amazing. We're all friends from way back, from other projects. So in fact, weirdly, they both did Wicked at different times, which is so weird to think of. And we had all been friends, and their husbands are my friends, and like we all knew each other from before. So we all had a shorthand. We all had so much fun at all times. I mean, like, and it was just like, it was one of those experiences where it was like, you know, we were able to kind of like go into the trenches together with this incredible sense of trust and fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's never easy making a new musical, period, end of story, full stop. Yeah. You know, and things get intense, and things get crazy, and there's always, like, you know, there's always stuff. And we found a way to, like, you know, it's like, I never had a day that I conducted on Broadway, when I conducted Frozen for those first few months, that I didn't end up in Patty's dressing room before the show and Casey's dressing room at intermission, like, just hanging out, like a checking in, and like just bullshitting about, you know, about life. Yeah. And like, and then Casey and I then, of course, started talking about the kids, because our kids are around the same age. Now Patty has a baby, which is amazing. I was just texting with her yesterday. So, like, you know, they're just amazing. They brought such an incredible new perspective to those characters. Yeah. And they did something really, really cool. And I'll say, if you were lucky enough to have seen the two gals who replaced them, that got a chance to perform just before COVID and the show ended in New York, it was extraordinary, like, to see a whole different take in such a whole exciting new way. And I was, and a Broadway debut, and just like, it was so it was a beautiful transition, and it was so sad that it all got cut so short. Because I feel like we had an incredible group of people.
Well, with that, I have a viewer who wants to come on to ask you a question, if that's okay.
Oh, a surprise. Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, honey.
Hi, babe. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little misty from hearing those kind words you just said.
Oh,
Thank you, my
oh,
friend.
thanks. I love you.
I love you too. I miss you. I have a question from a fan, from a viewer.
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
Okay. Aria Gickenzie, which is the best name I've ever heard, from New York City, would like to know, you've worked on tons of Broadway shows in your career. What is the toughest challenge you faced in a show, aside from dealing with me?
Oh, yeah. Because that was rough.
Yeah, it was no fun at all working together.
No. Oh, my God. The toughest challenge that I've faced, there are so many tough challenges to do what we do. But I would say, I would probably say that the toughest challenge of all is really just getting the communication solid in the, getting it set up so that you are understood on every level by everyone that you are encounter, because the person that is the music director generally has to deal with the actors, the musicians, the stage managers, the director, the choreographer, the lighting designer, because they're going to shine some lights in your eyes and you're not going to be able to conduct, the front of house staff, literally everyone that you can name, the head carpenter, because you're gonna have to walk under the stage to get to where you're at. All the, like, literally the hardest challenge is getting to a place where you can very clearly and very collaboratively work with all of these people. I would say, because that is really, really hard. And people don't realize, people think it's just, it's not just a talent thing. It's not just like, oh, you have the talent, great, you can do that job. It's like, no, you have to be able to run a department. You have to be able to talk to this, you have to deal with the contractors. You have to deal with the musicians. You got to deal with the subs. You got to deal with the swings going on. You got to deal with maintaining the show. You got to deal with the sound department. All of those things.
It's exhausting.
Aren't you exhausted?
Yeah, but it's so true. It's something we don't think about that often when we talk about Broadway, because it's, so glitzy from the outside in, and there is lots of glitz and glamour, but this is not a glamorous side of things.
I was going to go for the obvious and just say, like, COVID, like,
yeah,
it's all, like, I just like to start working again. We all would, and that would be amazing. But anyway, but I think it's that. I think it's really about communication and leadership and being able to navigate all of those things.
Casey, where are you currently quarantining?
I'm currently in Canada, but I'm heading back to New York shortly, like in a few days. I'm very excited to be home.
Good.
Us too. We'll be back in the city soon. So.
Oh, good. Okay. We'll stand across the street and wave.
It's gotten a lot better here. I mean, it's not as crazy as it was. It's still not back to normal, obviously, but it's definitely a change.
Yeah, totally.
A little bit about working with Stephen and why he's so brilliant and wonderful.
Oh yeah, I could go on about this. I mean, Stephen, no, I'm not going to embarrass you entirely, but there's a reason Stephen has worked on all of the coolest Broadway shows and all of the longest running hits, because he has that skill that he just spoke about, which is standing up for his needs as a conductor and music supervisor and music director when needed, and also collaborating and standing aside for other departments' needs when that's required, and always is such an advocate for the actors. I think from the actor's perspective, we're always trying to please everybody. We never want to get fired. We want everyone to like us. It's part of the reason we ended up on stage in the first place. And I always felt like I had an ally in Stephen back when we did Wicked, and I was a child basically, and terrified and excited and learning my way in the business, to now with Frozen, where I felt like it was a very different moment in time for me to have Stephen through both of those experiences and know that, yes, we have this personal friendship and this personal connection with our families, just makes it so much deeper. And like, it was always look across the room and I could see him and lock eyes and know I was safe and know that if I needed something, I could go to him. but also knowing that he expected the best from me and that I wanted to make him proud. And so having that shorthand with your conductor when you're on stage, especially doing songs like Let It Go or Defying Gravity, and looking out and seeing Stephen, that is a very calming feeling in a very scary moment, because you know that he's got you. And if something goes wrong, or you need to pivot, or you need to change, or you need to riff up or riff down or riff wherever, we only riff selectively. But correct. That's a collaboration.
The approved riff.
The approved riff, yes. That's very important. But Stephen will, when I push that boundary a little bit, he will come in and be like, sounded good, but don't do that again. Or okay, that's fine. You can do that one. Like, we have that shorthand. And so it's always fun, but it's always supported. And that's why I always feel lucky when I get to audition for him. And, it's like having a family member in the room. You walk in and you're like, that person knows me. I'm safe here. And that's a great feeling when you're on stage belting out Let It Go. He's the best. He's the best in the business. Everyone knows it. And that's why everyone always asks him to be part of the show.
Well, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that answer. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. Stay safe. Please be careful going back to New York City, and we can't wait to see you on stage soon.
Thank you. I can't wait to be back in a room making music with you, Stephen.
I love you. Kiss your boys for me.
I will. Love you. Thanks, Danny. Bye, guys.
Take care. Wow.
Thanks for that. That was so sweet.
Yeah, it's just the kindest. This next question is from Jordan Mao. What show have you never music directed that you'd like to, and why?
I mean, I don't know, because it hasn't been created yet. Like I generally haven't done a lot of revivals. Right. And I haven't done any revivals on Broadway, but the only things that, I've done like little one-offs, like the Jerry Springer concert at Carnegie Hall and Joseph recently, but I don't really, I mean, I guess I did Rent and the Wiz on TV, but those were special things. So I don't think there's a lot of shows that, like, I always want to do the newest, like something new and creative and that hasn't been made yet, really. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's a show that I can say, like, oh, I wish I had a shot at doing something creative with that piece. Not that there's anything wrong with revivals, and like I said, I've done a few things, but I'm more interested in kind of growing and kind of stretching my my wings by like doing something brand new that hasn't been created yet. So like it's more about like that. Like, I have no idea. Like, I have a couple of things that have been in development over the last several years that are all, everything's the life is on pause right now. So there's a lot of different things that could be happening in the future, but I don't know. I'd like to think of it as like, well, cue that song from Frozen 2, right?
Yeah.
The Unknown song. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, when you were a kid, what was the show that did she listen to again and again and again and again?
Well, there were three, really, and this is really showing my age, because I'm old. So like, because this is back in the 70s and 80s, and like I actually was obsessed when I was really little with, of course, Annie, because in 1979 I actually saw it on Broadway with Sarah Jessica Parker as Annie. Yeah, I was 8 years old. And yeah,
I'd love to go back and see that.
Yeah. I got to tell her that too, which is amazing. When I met, I was literally like, I saw you do Annie. She's like, no fucking way. Anyway, so now, so Annie was one, A Chorus Line was the other.
Yeah, of course.
It all went over my head when I was really little, but I was obsessed with it musically. Yeah, I was.
Wind it up. The chorus.
Oh yeah, but I mean, we literally it was a little past. I mean, it was a little before my time, but we had an 8-track player at my parents' house, and weirdly, they're playing our song which was a musical.
Oh yes,
Robert Klein and Lucy Arnaz, which I was obsessed with. I just went to see like when they did the concert version of it last year, which was incredible. Lucy Arnaz is I mean, she's mind blowing. So those shows were like my obsession, and then like, you know, I grew up really close to Manhattan, so every year we would go to see shows. Like we'd go on Easter, like as a family, to go see shows. So I got to see like some amazing things. Like I got to see Glenn Close and Barnum, you know, when I was like a little kid, and you know, I got to see like all and like at the invasion of all of the British shows, you know, in the 80s, like and you know, and Phantom and Les Mis and Chess and Miss Saigon and all the original runs of all of those things, and you know, it like. I was obsessed, and then I kind of discovered Sondheim. You know, Into the Woods was my introduction really to Sondheim, you know, when I was a teenager, and then I went back and I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, Sweeney was mine. The first time I heard Sweeney, that was it.
Oh yeah, for real. And I also will say that this is the other crazy thing. I was, you know that video of that great performances of Into the Woods that was filmed.
Yes,
I was in the audience for that.
Wow, you were when it was recording?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like when they filmed it, I was part of the audience. I was in. I got tickets. I found out they were bringing the original cast back to film it, and I got tickets. It was 1989.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was like it was like the spring of '89.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it was incredible.
If I watch it, will I see you?
No. But I assure you I was there. And I also assure you they dubbed some of the voices because they didn't sound like that when I saw them. But yeah.
This next question is from Peter Skolgios. How do you structure your time pre-quarantine and now? What habits do you contribute to long game resilience and success? It's a great question.
That's really good. You know, weirdly, the stuff that has only gotten strong, like, well, let me start this answer by saying I have a 4-year-old child, so that is a whole different structure in itself. Like it's like it's a whole different thing, and certainly a different thing in quarantine. So that has affected, you know, has changed everything. But what I would say is the things that have I've done the opposite of what a lot of my friends have done, in that the pre-quarantine, I was slowly starting to lean into, you know, like moving my body every day and exercising and all that stuff. And taking time to be creative, and like, you know, having like set amounts of time where I'm going to like sit down and like learn about something or read a book or do something like that was enriching to my art or my life. But then when the quarantine hit, I really actually, because I realized, oh, well, if I don't do something, then like I'm literally like, I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. So I really started to activate some of these things. So I practice Vedic meditation. So which means I meditate 20 minutes twice a day, every day of my life. And that has changed my life in the greatest possible way. That has really been a mind-blowing experience. And it's been about 2 years now. And so that's been incredible. And then I would say that I started to, you know, I actually started to like eat better and exercise, and like just the self-care stuff I felt was so important, and has become much more of a priority, and has become more of a part of my life now. Really, like it actually makes me more productive. It makes me more productive. It makes me more creative. It gives me more energy throughout the day, and it makes me feel like I'm actually not, you know, like I'm not checking out. I mean, the only time I check out is like once the kid's in bed and like maybe I'm watching some Netflix or, you know, some schlocky movie or TV. But truly, you know, it really is. I think the hard thing is in these times for us to not, I don't know, to not set like crazy goals. Like I wasn't one of those people that was like, I'm going to write the next great American musical. Everybody, like, you know, it's happening, you know, I'm going to do it. You know, it's like, I mean, sure. I've been doing some writing. I've been doing some arranging. I've been doing some, some work. I certainly have been staying creative, but it was just, you have to be gentle with yourself and kind of let it happen. And I feel like it's been really powerful to kind of find some of the core things for myself. It's been really meditation, exercise, and, kind of,
I always say that I don't have any time to meditate, and because I always feel so overwhelmed. I have so much on my plate, and everyone always says meditate, meditate, meditate. And it's so funny that you say when you do meditate, it helps you get everything done more productively or quicker. I mean, that's
well, not necessarily. It's not about quicker, but it is about like. I find myself in a place where I can be like, oh yeah, I can do that, and I can do that, and I can like it actually puts my brain in a more workable place. That's what it is for me.
I'm gonna force myself to do it.
Well, we should talk about it. I can recommend a fantastic teacher. It's not just about downloading an app. It's really about like
I was
finding a practice.
And like do one of the exercises, but that would be great. I will definitely take you up on that. This next question is from Danny Berman. My dream is to be on Broadway. I'm getting up there and I've had some success, but I haven't had my big break. Do you have any advice?
As an actor, as a yeah, as an actor, I mean, it's like it literally is. It is literally like it is an endurance test for a lot of people. Like just getting out there and just getting, I think it's important to, it's not just about getting, getting seen in auditions. It's about doing your own kind of performances. It's showing up at piano bars with friends and being around people and in the business. Like it's about networking as much as it is about kind of getting in the rooms and auditioning. So it's hard, like different shows have different requirements, and we've talked about this, and Danny, and you and I have talked about this with a lot of people too. It's like it is sometimes it is about like a specific physical type. Sometimes it is about like a specific vocal type or dance, requirement, and all of these things. There's so many factors, and so many different types of shows. So, you just have to keep going for it. I don't think that any, like you can say what you want about trying to have a shortcut to Broadway, but the people that I know that have made it on Broadway, a lot of the people I know have also done a ton of regional and summer stock work, and and there are pods of people that, I mean, I can trace friends back to like summer stock that I worked with, that actually eventually went on to be on Broadway and beyond, and that's just getting out there and doing it as much as you can, and that's what the best thing to do.
Of course. Thank you. This question is from Alan from Belgium. How will music technology evolve in live music theater?
Well, I think we're already seeing it, like, and music technology, and there are several types of music technology, and I could spend the next 25 minutes just talking about this, but you're already dealing with shows that are running Ableton and are triggering lights and sound effects and music and all of this stuff that are all linking together, and you're also talking about shows running things like Logic and QLab and where you're playing along with clicks and different sound effects and different sound, different orchestral or loops are being triggered and all of that stuff. So I think that music theater has. Music theater used to be the popular music of the day, right? And
right.
It used to actually drive what was on the radio, and now what's on the radio drives popular music. Right. So the more technological and the more modern things are, and the stuff that filters down into Broadway and different versions of show, I mean the more modern things like Hamilton, even shows like Kinky Boots and any, and shows like Six that was just about to open, and like the pop things, like those things are going to rely on much more of the music the technology that they're using to make pop music today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that in other news, there's also other technology that is used to make the music sound like it's a big orchestra, but it's not. And that's not what I'm not concerning myself with, that because I've worked with that stuff too. But that is that's a whole other Q&A.
Thank you. I have a viewer who wants to come on and ask you a question.
Oh, another one.
Last one.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I am Joseph, and my question is good. It's kind of been a segue what you guys have been talking about.
Yeah.
So my question is, what is something in your life or your career that has kept you creatively inspired to either arrange or write? And like, what has kept you motivated to be creative in your career? And then with that, do you have any words of wisdom for our viewers to stay creative and motivated, especially in a time like now?
Yeah, I think that to answer the first part of your question, like I feel like I have always, continued to look outside of the industry. Like I try to listen to as much different types of music. I have friends that expose me to like really music that I never would normally would ever be into. I don't listen to musical theater. I don't I think I like to try to kind of learn from as many different sides of musical language as possible, so I can be fluent in as many different types of music. Because as I was saying before, like I think the way it filters down into musical theater, it's like there's always going to be some sort of hybrid of what it is to make it theatrical and also kind of authentic. So I love just making the time to like listening to like the new stuff, like the newest stuff on Spotify or the newest stuff on Apple Music, and like really kind of getting into like what I'm gonna have different moods. Like the other day, like I was in a crazy 90s grunge mood, and I was like listening to L7 all day, like just angry women screaming with heavy guitars, and it was amazing. Like I had the great, like I worked out and listened to that music, and I was like, this was amazing. Like it was just this incredible day. So I just like to continue to find however the day takes me, I like to find music that's going to like inspire me. Like Rufus Wainwright's new album just did the same thing for me. Like I was just like, what is this? Like it just all of a sudden he came up with this whole other this next level stuff that's been years since he's made music that complex and beautiful. And so I think that for me, I like to keep inviting that in and kind of opening up to staying open to those things. And also it really is about like making the time to explore those things. So to transition into your next part with keeping people engaged, like I think it really is like I heard some cool music and then I like busted out my Roland Juno 60, which is the first keyboard that I bought when I was 13 years old, which is like this little analog synth. And I was like just twiddling the knobs and playing around on it and making some cool sounds. And I was like, this is weird. I haven't done this since I was like 17. But like that, like that sketch of whatever the little thing that I did might be something that I use in something else that comes up. So I think it's really about kind of just banking all of it and just kind of staying again open to the possibilities of all these things. Like I'm inspired by what people are doing with Zoom and creating music. It's just really hard. You can't really make live music together, right? Because you have to make tracks and you have to put it together and you have to mix it or else it doesn't really work. So that kind of work that I've been doing has been fun and creative. So I think that people, I think it's cool to like have little projects with your friends to like write something or arrange something and pass things back and forth and just kind of add tracks to it and do that sort of thing. Like that's fun for me. You know what I mean? Like that's been happening, like where I've been like helping a friend produce a record and like, you know, doing all this stuff and like working on demos and like kind of doing that kind of creative work, because that's the stuff we can do away from each other. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So that sort of stuff.
Great. Thanks. Yeah, that's awesome.
Sure.
Joseph, where are you quarantining?
I am in Washington Heights right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Stay safe, stay healthy. And
you too.
Joseph is a budding casting director, Steven.
Oh, amazing.
I hope you'll see him in the room sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. Amazing.
Thanks, Joseph.
Thanks, Joseph. Pleasure meeting you.
This next question is from Paul Lambert from San Francisco. How much flexibility do you have in arranging music when you have giants as composers? Do they turn you loose? Do you try to arrange things with certain parameters they have in mind? Could you speak on that?
Depends on the giant.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm going to answer this question very carefully. But what I would say is, look, it really is. It is, any way you slice it, my job as an arranger is in service of the composer and the score and the final version of the score. So you must know that no matter what I do as an arranger is going to have to be approved by the composer, and it's going to have to be blessed by the composer. There may be a fight with the composer to make it happen, but if we get there, that version that you know is the collaboration and the magic, right? So I do think your question is a good question. I think it depends on the show. It depends on the composer. In some cases, when I've worked with some of the more pop folks that have that I've worked with over the years, I think that they have different. In some cases, I was able to have a stronger hand in the arranging and the construction of a structure. In some cases, the composers that I work with that are very, very well known and very accomplished would be a little bit more solid as far as a structure and what they do, and then would need me to blow up and fill in and then take it to the next level. So it's really a matter of whether I get to do the structural work or whether I actually get to just be like, oh, well, it would be cool to put these harmonies and these counterpoint and this and that, and then kind of build on a vocal arrangement. So yeah, it depends. Like I said, like depending on the giant and depending on the composer itself and depending on the piece, then I think that it really varies. But again, my job, no ego about it. All ego aside, my job is to deliver the next level of the score for the composer, for the director, for the whole piece. So that is always a collaboration.
And it's nice to know that it's collaborative. I mean, it has to be. Every aspect in theater just has to be for it to work.
Correct.
Question is from Ross Baum. Hi, Ross, on YouTube. Hi, Stephen. What advice would you go back and give your 30-year-old music director self?
Oh, wow. Well, let's see. It's so funny that you picked that number, because like that was literally like right when I had to make the biggest decision of my life, which was turning down the national tour of Aida to stay the music director of Wicked, a reading of Wicked. And so the advice that I would say is, you are correct. Keep going. Do that. But I would also say, but then my real advice to that person would be hang in there. Like that was a really hard period of my life. I would say when I turned 30, I had, it was right around when 9/11 happened. And Tick Tick Boom had happened, and our record release was 9/11/2001.
Oh,
We were
God.
releasing the album of Tick Tick Boom the day the towers fell.
God.
It was yeah. I mean, you can't write this. And then downtown theater was decimated, and we were one of the casualties. And as you know, but what I would say is, is like that was a time in my life where we just found out the Wild Party wasn't moving to Broadway, and I couldn't get a job, and nothing was coming up, and like all this little stuff was happening, and that was right around the time where these little things like Stephen Schwartz was like, "Hey, you want to do a reading of this show about these witches?" And I was like,
it's
sure.
so funny because it's so casual,
Yeah, that's the way it happened. But I would say, but it was also a very, very hard, I was making no money. I was playing some classes. I was in and out of playing classes and auditions, and trying to make my rent. And I would just say, keep making music. Like everything I did at that time, and I'm really proud of this, to support myself, was all music related. It was always, I was doing transcriptions for people and getting paid for it. I was playing classes, I was playing auditions, I was just in it, and I was always making music and making my living by making music. I didn't have a day job that didn't involve the industry, and I feel like I was really enriched by that.
It's terrific. It's terrific. I mean, that's the dream. This question is from Todd Sampson. Do you have advice for young orchestrators, people trying to learn this business?
Yeah, I mean, I think that orchestrating wise, it's really like, I think that you should not be shy about reaching out to orchestrators that you admire, because they love, like orchestrators are the weirdest people, because they literally just lock themselves away. Like their work mainly happens all by themselves, like, in the middle of the night, or like at 5 o'clock in the morning, writing these enormous charts. And I think that if there are orchestrators that you really respect and admire and want to learn from, you should actually reach out to them and start conversations. I had, there were orchestrators like, like my brilliant friend, the late great Bill Brown, who orchestrated Wicked. He always worked with young, like Chris Yankee worked under him as an orchestrator, and like used to set his scores up, and was basically learned the ropes from him, as he was his mentor. And I think that there's a lot. I think you'd be surprised at how many mentorship opportunities there are to just strike up the conversation with these people. And everyone's pretty much reachable in some way, or as a friend of a friend of a friend, right, these days, or on social media. So I think that you should, reach out and have those conversations, and grab whatever scores you can online and study them, and talk to people about them, and
And I know you are currently working on something to help that pipeline for people, which is really exciting. I know we won't talk about it, but to keep your eyes peeled there, please.
Yeah, there's an organization that's going to be launching next month that we will be addressing kind of a lot of those things with mentorship and fellowship and education, that will be part of that. But I can't say anymore, because that's
okay. Well,
it's all so exciting, and you'll hear about it soon.
This next question is from Alyssa Ponratana from Los Angeles. How do you audition to be a pit musician?
That's a tricky one, because you do not really audition. I mean, like your audition is getting the chance to play it and being great. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. You're actually on Broadway. You're actually not allowed to audition musicians. Like, it's a part of the union rules. It's not about an audition, because once an existing show is running, the musicians are required to bring their own subs in. Right. So they have to prepare the subs. They have to give them all the information. The sub gets to sit in and watch the show and watch the conductor and watch the book and learn it. And then they have to just come in and do it. Right. And then if they nail it, they get to come back. If they don't nail it, they don't get to come back. So I think it really is about again, similar to what I was just saying about the orchestrators, I think it is about reaching out to the people that are in the pits that play the instrument that you're interested in, and going in and seeing the vibe and meeting the people and getting to know them, and it's really about getting in those circles. And and sometimes people need subs, and sometimes you can get in on those lists. Sometimes it takes years to get in on those lists, but it really is about kind of learning, getting into those. It's about the networking, really.
That it's unbelievable. It's such a different process. We don't know as actors. That's fascinating.
It is.
Are you presently working on projects while in quarantine?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few, slowly but surely. Everything is, like I said, for like with everyone, like the world is on pause since live theater is not happening right now. But there's a writing project that I'm working on with Jake Shears. He and I are writing music and lyrics together, and that project is we're waiting for a draft from one of our collaborators. And we've been writing a score for that, which I can't talk about yet, but it's going to be really cool. And then I have a few other musical projects, just arranging things that I'm doing for some possible TV projects. And there's just a lot of little things that are just kind of like floating up, and it's really exciting. Like I said, or like we were saying before, like just to stay creative and kind of stay focused on something. And like, oh wow, I get to make music today. The other day, like literally, Joey McIntyre, him from New Kids on the Block. Joey and I did Tick Tick Boom together a million years ago, as well as Wicked. He came in, he was one of our Fieros. And so he called me and he's like, I'm doing this TV, he's like, I'm doing my own, kind of thing. And it, it was on StreamYard, just like this. It was a whole thing. And he's like, you want to come do it? And, we'll sing some songs. And, and it was so cool, like getting to like play the piano again and like work up 3090 from Tick Tick Boom, which I was like, holy cow, I was young. It was really fast. And then, obviously, and it was so fun. And like, just getting to like actually, like, I can't think of the last time that I had to like work something up for a performance and actually play the piano. And I had to record a few songs for him and play with him. And it was really, really fun. So, that's kind of
wow
what it's been.
I have one final question. Now, I know you and Justin have the most beautiful baby girl. What is her view of what you do? How is she in the theater all the time? And what's that like, having a baby and still working on all of these shows?
It's getting more challenging and I'm actually surprised that she didn't actually come up here at some point. But it's getting a little more challenging because there's not a lot of patience. She's 4 and she's also a Taurus, so it's like a very strong-willed gal, and I love that about her. But there's not a lot of like, I'm gonna wait till later. She's just like, I want to do this now. But it's really amazing. I mean, I think that she's like really she's really awesome, and she's starting to register, like because she knows the people and she knows the songs, and she's obsessed with Disney, obviously. So she's seen all the Disney stuff. She's like literally the first little girl to see Frozen 2, because they did a screening for us in New York, like of the people that worked on it, like before it was released. And like she's like her teachers like at school were literally like, she said she saw Frozen 2. Is that true? Because it's not out yet. But she, it's been like the great joy of my life, like when she was 2 and 3, to like take her to the theater. And I still take her, like, when we're back, I will take her again, like to take her to the theater and to be backstage. And she sees the actors on stage. She sat in the wings and watched the finale of Kinky Boots before we closed on Broadway. She watched Glinda sing Popular from the wings and was mesmerized, and like, she's like she's absolutely obsessed. And like, but then she also knows that like we would go to Casey's dressing room and she's like, oh, Casey takes off the wig and she's not Elsa anymore. And so and I literally have to say to her, she'd be like, I'll be like, what do you want to listen to? She's like, Let It Go. I'm like, Casey or Adina. And she'll be like, and she'll tell me, But like it's so, because she knows them both. You know what I mean? Like it's
Oh,
it's so weird.
That is the cutest thing in the entire.
It's very sweet, but she's anyway. She has like she loves what she loves more than anything. I have to say is watching the orchestra and watching me conduct the orchestra and all of that stuff. So that she's been in the room a lot of times with me rehearsing orchestras and conducting, and she like is fascinated by seeing the musicians play, and she really loves that. So I love that she loves that, and you know.
That is so sweet, Stephen. It has been such a joy chatting with you.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to pick your brain about a million things. I'm sure I'll call you, including meditation this week, because that is so fascinating to me.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you so much. If you want to follow Stephen's journey, please follow him on Instagram. His handle should be just below in a second. There it is. STEOREMUS. Thanks, Stephen. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, bye.
Being here. Please join me on Wednesday as I chat with choreographer Josh Bergasse, and then on Monday with music director Kenny Seymour. This Friday, I chat with Penn State and Temple University. This is Danny George signing off. Take care.